I gotta dig through this cold ice. Just look at it. Seeing how that mixes together. About a week ago, y'all saw Jared shot him a pig. I guess it would have been a week ago Friday night. Is when that was. Well, that's been in the ice chest. We've taken the time and I cooked the tenders out of it one night and we ate those and I shared those with them. Well, tonight we are going to cook the ribs. And guys, these ribs have just been in the ice chest, so I've got to unpack these ribs and get them ready to cook tonight. I've got the pit boss up, it's hot. I got to dig through this cold ice. Well, guys, you can tell right here, these ribs are down in the ice and they are ice cold. I think I'm just going to get one side out at a time here. Guys, with these ribs right here, I've got them, I cut them with the Sawzall. So this edge right down through here is pretty rough. I'll probably take these over in just a minute and rinse them off. You know, I never knew about this membrane here on this inside till I was watching somebody cook and I saw them tear it off. So what I'm going to try to do here is get a hold of that and pull that off, and I'll show that to y'all. You'll see that peeling off right there. I don't know what show I was watching, but I was watching somebody, and this is what they normally do on regular rib, just pull this off. And I don't know if it makes them whether or not it's tough or what, but I saw them doing it and I started doing it. You see how it just peels right off there. And like I said, I was watching somebody cook some just regular pork ribs and I saw them doing it, so I started doing it to these wild ones too. So I'm cleaning up the outside. This is the outside of those ribs, guys. There's some meat right here, but there's also a lot of fat right here, and I'm gonna clean that up a little bit. I may leave the meat itself, but a lot of this fat right here, I'm gonna clean this off of this. We don't need all this outside fat on them for sure. My mom and stepdad used to run a barbecue business, and I was fortunate enough that I got the recipe from them, and it's a vinegar based barbecue versus a tomato base. The dry rub and everything, and they were from East Arkansas, so it's more of what people consider your Memphis barbecue. But guys, there's Sal's ribs right there. I will probably put these on, let them cook about an hour uncovered. And since these are wild pig ribs, I'll probably wrap them up in aluminum foil and then cook them another 2 to 3 hours. A lot of it's going to depend on temperature, and I'm going to try to run the pit boss here around 225 today. Anywhere from 225 to 250. So that's going to be on the low side of heat, so it might take a little bit longer, but initially, I'm just going to put them on and let them smoke for about an hour uncovered or anything.
So Mike, what happened to your face?
Well, I got cut on a little bit. I guess it shows up on camera, huh?
Just a little. I'm probably wondering what happened. What are you doing?
Down. Get down. Somebody thought she was going to get her a little bit of hog meat tonight. Well, guys, I'm going to tell you, went to the doctor and had that place treated, and I've been going back for every 6 months for checkups, and they said a place on this other side The first side over here on my left side, we treated it with just some cream and got it straightened up. But this side, they saw it and it needed to have surgery. So I went up Wednesday and they dug it out, and let's just say I got a few more stitches than I thought I was going to get. But hey, the best part about that was, though, that I got good news from that. And I was told it was basil's. If I pronounce this right, and if I pronounce it wrong and butcher it, y'all just have to correct me in comments. But it was called basal cell and not melanoma. And melanoma was the bad stuff, and if you was going to have something, basal cell was what to have. So basal cell is what I had, and when I left the doctor, he told me, he says, we've got it, and they'll be watching it, and I've got about 4 more days. I get to go back, get stitches out, and I won't have to have the bandage on my face no more, hopefully. Well, guys, I got these ribs cleaned up a little bit here. Get the grill turned back down right there real quick. Guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these ribs, and I've got some of my Mom and Them's barbecue dry rub right here, and I'm just going to sprinkle them real good. I'm going to do one with my mama's, and then a friend of mine told me about this Texas Brothers barbecue dry rub, and I'm going to use this also tonight. I've used this on a brisket already and really liked it, so I'm going to try it on ribs tonight. Get the other side real good. And this set here, I'm gonna rub this Texas Brothers on. Like I said, I had this on a brisket already. A friend of mine introduced me to it, and it was really good. So we got those on. They're running. It's running a little warm right now, so we're about 250. We're gonna try to keep this around 225 up to 275. Well, guys, as you can tell, it's daytime here, and we started this last night. It got late. We didn't get any camera footage of me wrapping the ribs up, and I finished cooking them. And it was probably around 10 o'clock when I took these ribs off last night. And I took them off, let them cool down a little bit, and I put them back in the refrigerator. And I've gotten home from church today, started to grill back up, and heated these ribs up enough to where we could pull them off the bones here. And as you can tell right here, I mean, they're just falling apart now. And all I'm doing right now is, with these ribs, what I think I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to pull these ribs apart, and I'm going to chop this rib meat up. And we're actually going to eat this rib meat on barbecue sandwiches is what we're going to do here. I just got to clean it up, and this is just a layer of fat, the layers of meat and fat that was on the outside of those ribs right here. And I'll probably try to pick through get the meat of this and try to leave as much fat back in this pan here and all. But as you can tell, I mean, it's smoked up real good. It's got a real good taste to it. It's not real gamey. We'll keep letting that other set. The other set is the ones I put my Mom and Them's barbecue on. So we'll let them keep heating up. And we'll pull those off and show those to you as they come out of the aluminum foil later. Probably some of the better looking ribs that we've had off some pigs. I think a lot of that contributes to how healthy the pig was, to be honest with you. I think these have warmed back up from last night. Yeah, they're pretty hot. Whew, that's hot. It's gonna be a little bit too hot. Well, guys, we got these ribs off the grill, and just to give you an idea of how they've cooked, And you can just kind of see the bones here. They're just pulling right out of these ribs. I'm going to take this rib meat and actually cut it up, make sandwich meat out of it. Oh, we got us a honeybee. I put it out there in the yard, put them a watermelon out, hoping they'd go and leave us alone, but for whatever reason, they're coming up to the house. Your idea what these ribs look like. Whew, too hot to hold right now. I let them warm up just a little bit too long, I think. We've pulled this off the grill, guys. Set it here in this pan, let it cool off enough to where I could hold it. Y'all saw me pulling the bones out of it. It was just too much for me to go ahead and finish picking. But it has cooled off now. I think next time before I cook these, I might try to cut a little bit more of that fat off of them. But gonna make, once we chop it up and everything, gonna make for some really good barbecue, I think. I know, hey, I know this is not the traditional way to eat ribs, but guys, off these wild pigs, we start saving them just as a novelty, just to try them. And hey, once we realized how good they were, we started keeping them. These aren't going to be quite as dry as my other ones because I have more fat on them. Guys, this is that meat that was on top of that shoulder. Just look at it. There's just no game taste to it. As you can see, I've laid this meat back out on the table here, and hey, you can see, look, you can see how stringy this is. What I'm about to do is I'm just going to cut this up, and then we're going to, I'll make some coleslaw up after a while, and then we're just going to eat this on sandwiches. Is all we're going to do with this. I didn't really come out here to cut all this up, so this is going to make do with the knife that I had out here. I'm going to tell you guys, you look right here and you see this meat as I've chopped it up. Kind of the thing, people wanting to go to natural groceries and get grass-fed beef and stuff like that. These pigs have just been raised in the wild. They ain't been fed nothing. They ain't been fed hormones and stuff. It's just really good meat. We prefer it over deer meat. And guys, I was raised eating wild game. And I still eat deer meat. But if you were to ask me if I had a preference as to what I was going to eat, I would eat these wild pigs over deer meat. Well guys, I've got this chopped up out here. I'm gonna get this mess cleaned up outside. I'm gonna get this inside and we'll make us a sandwich later tonight, get us some coleslaw made. Well guys, we're back in the kitchen tonight, and this is kind of our, the friend from Louisiana gave us that from woods to table scenario. So we've kind of doing that with this pig that Jared shot. And we've already prepped the ribs. We've got the ribs cooked. We've deboned those ribs, and those ribs are ready for eating now. That was a day or two ago. That rib meat was put in the wrapped up and put in the refrigerator. I've got that heating up tonight in the oven for us to be able to eat and sample tonight. But one of the things I wanted to show y'all was making your own coleslaw. And in making your coleslaw, I just went to the grocery store and picked up a head of cabbage here, and we're going to run that through our Ninja blender here and get it cut up for y'all. What y'all gonna see me is cutting that heart kind of out of it and get this hard part of this cabbage out of the way. That's the one part we do not want to eat right there. It's pretty bitter, so we're gonna get rid of that for sure. This real thick pieces here, I'm gonna kind of break them out of it. I ain't gonna run them through there either. One thing I don't know is how, well, I do know how they did it. They did it by hand. But I'm gonna tell you what, Well, there ain't nothing like having one of these appliances right here in the kitchen. You can make some coleslaw up in a hurry. So guys, we got most of that shredded up there. And what we want to do is we're going to dump that out and guys, we've got our cabbage all cut up now. As you can see, it's real fine. And this is really from here, it's going to be pretty basic. I need that big old leaf in there. I don't try to, hey, doctor this up and make this too complicated. Really, all we're going to have is some mayonnaise, some salt and pepper, some sugar, and a little bit of olive oil. These are going to be our basic ingredients here. On our mayonnaise, one of the things you want to remember about your mayonnaise is a little bit of mayonnaise does go a long ways, but we got a whole head of cabbage here, so we are going to need some mayonnaise. I'm probably going to have to get this other jar out here, it looks like. Guys, I want to tell you a little story about this. You know, my thoughts, a lot of times I just went to the store and bought a bag of cabbage, coleslaw already mixed up where everything was just cut up and you just picked it up and you had carrots and everything else in it. We were home one time and my aunt invited me over and I got over to the house and of course our family and all was there. We was home deer hunting, I think. It might have been at Thanksgiving. And walked off in the kitchen. My Uncle Bob was sitting there cutting coleslaw up with a knife there on the counter. And it just kind of opened my eyes up to the fact of I ain't got to be so lazy I can make up my own. And you know, you go somewhere and eat coleslaw and sometimes just, hey, it really just ain't fit to eat. And the bad part about it is it ain't that hard to make. So don't be scared to get in the kitchen and play with a little bit of that stuff. We got some mayonnaise in there and I'm just going to call that good for right now, and once I stir it up then we'll go from there and see if we need a little bit more. Now I'm going to add, hey, 2 tablespoons here of sugar to this. And then pepper wise, just going to give it a little bit of color there. That's probably about a teaspoon and a half of that. And then I'm just going to give us some salt, and then we'll taste it and see what we think in just a minute. Now one of the things we add right here is we add a little bit of olive oil. I just make a couple rounds with it there. So here I'm just going to start blending all this together rather than stirring it around. And I'm going to start watching and seeing how that mixes together and see if we need a little more mayonnaise. We shouldn't need any more olive oil. And might need a little more salt, but we'll have to sample that to find out where we're at on that part of it. Just remember your mayonnaise goes a long ways. Well guys, we've got our meat out of the oven now. It's warmed up, and this is about half of those 2 rib meats. I've actually been eating on some of this already. So right here in the bowl, this is about half of that. So that's about 1 rib worth of meat right there that we pulled off. We made up coleslaw, and I really hadn't alluded to this yet, but between the barbecue sauce, the coleslaw, everything kind of blends together, makes it for a really good taste. And I was brought up that barbecue, you had coleslaw on barbecue. And some people they're not used to that, but it's the taste of the coleslaw. I don't know if it's the mayonnaise in it or what. It just goes really good with pork. And on top of that, I like some Ruffles salty chips with it. And here in this jar, this is my mom and stepdad's barbecue sauce recipe that they gave me. They used to run a barbecue business there in Arkansas, and I was fortunate enough to actually, as I tell everybody, I've inherited the recipe. So I've made up some homemade barbecue sauce here that we're going to put on our sandwich and go to eating here. One thing to be noted about barbecue, there ain't no eating it and staying. If you're eating ribs, I used to tell everybody, you're just eating ribs, everybody's getting dirty doing that.
folks in Texas probably wouldn't be too used to this. It's a vinegar-based sauce. Well, guys, I'm gonna get me a sample of this real quick. Got my mouth full. Well, guys, I can't tell you enough about how good this wild hog meat is. When it's prepped right, you ain't got that gamey taste to it, and it really makes really fine barbecue. And this is the rib meat, guys. But guys, we appreciate y'all watching tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this. I appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time.